everyone to the Ladies Car Carry Show. I'm so happy to have you here. I know it's early in the morning, but we are ready to give an amazing talk about your experience. So tell me who you are first before we start, and maybe what type of car do you have?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. So, as you said, I'm Carmen. I live in Canada, up in Manitoba. So, nice cold Manitoba. And I drive a Dodge Caravan because I have a lot of little kids and we go camping and stuff.
I love that. How many kids do you have?
I have two, but I also run like a Girl Guide, so Girl Scout organization. So, it was also all the camping gear and stuff.
Oh, I love camping. I mean, that's really awesome. Have you ever felt discouraged with your car, or any time that you go camping, do you have any issue with your car?
With the van, not so much. No, not I don't try to go off-roading with a van since it's so low on the ground. Um, so far, knock on wood, I haven't had major issues with that vehicle, no.
No, what about with another one? Have you ever have any issue with another car?
Oh, I should say it's never that I've never had issues with my van. I've had issues with all cars, but not with the camping stuff. So my issues have been more when you get the strange sounds. So the most recent one we had was my van. We changed because I live in the cold, so we have to have our our winter tires get put on.
Yeah.
And my husband had changed the tires, and he had made sure that it was that they were all aligned and everything was good. And I teach in an adjoining town that's about 30 minutes on highway, but I drove to the college in like just on the like a more residential one. So it was like a longer, so I was going at a slower speed and nothing seemed wrong. And I was coming home and I was at like the highway speeds. And all of a sudden my steering wheel is like shaking. And I'm like, the wheels are going to pop off of this van and I'm going to die and everything's going to be terrible. And I'm like calling my husband, panicking, saying, you didn't put these wheels on right. Or the tires on right. And I had to go to the dealership, and it turned out it was just dirt, and the dirt had thrown off the alignment. But it was really scary for me because I didn't know whether or not my tires were going to fly off, and then I didn't know how I was going to put the tires back on.
Yeah, how scary that can be, right?
Yeah.
Even when we're alone most of the time, or we're with the kids and something like that happened, that feeling is just like, oh, what I'm gonna do. And that's why one of the things that I always encourage is like, that's why you need to know at least the basic things about your car. Because if you don't know these things, maybe like you said at the beginning, the smells. What if I can identify a smell that I could avoid something bigger on my car? Or
Right.
or things like that. Like you said, the steering wheel was shaking and you didn't know exactly what to do. And sometimes we just feel scared and we were like, oh, what am I gonna do? And all that. Yeah, that's something that I always encourage. If you're hearing right now, basic things we have to learn about our own car. I mean, we don't have to learn about every single car, but at least how our car works. So that's good that
Mhm.
you learned something in that in that
It
situation.
was it was a nice learning experience.
That's fun. What about, have you ever had this experience when you take your car to the mechanic or the dealer and you felt intimidated, or if you feel like you were gonna take advantage of? Can you share one story like that with us?
Well, I've been blessed because my brother-in-law, my sister is younger than me and started dating him really young, and he's a mechanic. But even then, I just went in almost naively, like, well, he won't do anything wrong. And there was one day I brought my vehicle in and I called him, and it was before I was still in my young early 20s, and he said, well, the flux capacitor is broken and you're going to need to go and have this, and this. And I'm like, absolutely, whatever you need. And he started laughing, going, Carmen, that's from Back to the Future. That is not art.
Oh my God.
And I said, what? And he goes, that's not, I'm like, this is why I have to take it to you. So like, there's always been this insecurity. I'm like, what if somebody else says this? Like they can make something up and I would have no idea, because I 100% was going to give him all my money and say, well, you got to fix this thing. So, and then they moved a few years ago. So he's been lucky enough to like point me in the direction of people locally. And when I'm really insecure, I'll call him to make sure. But I would like to be a little bit more confident myself to go in and be able to tell somebody, no, this is, I'm not lying. It's not, because you know how I think a lot of women too, like you say, well, it's making this sound. And then they take it and they go, no, it's not making this sound. And I'm like, well, I drive it every day and it's making this sound. My husband had that experience and he just said, no, I'm going to get in the car with you, like to the guy. And they like drove until the sound happened. Whereas I would have been, I would have just said, okay, well, they know better. And I would have just accepted it. So it's interesting just watching other people do it. And I wish I was a little bit more confident. Lots of times I just send my husband to do the conversation because I don't want to get in that situation.
Yeah, it's hard. And believe me, I have here so many stories like that,
Hmm.
that every time that you show up to the repair shop, you feel very uncomfortable because first of all, you don't understand the mechanic language. They were talking like you said right now that he just told you something and it was about a movie you didn't even knew that he
Right.
was talking about that. But that's a perfect example that every time a lot of us when we go to the repair shop we don't understand what they're talking about. And it's let me tell you that it's the mechanic's responsibility making sure that you understand. And I always say that if you don't feel comfortable, you feel like I don't know what he's saying, or maybe what I mean, if you're saying that maybe it's not that the problem, but I know because I'm driving my car and I hear this, well, just walk away. A lot of times we feel scared just to walk away. But I want to emphasize on something really good right here, that we have to trust our instinct. We have something that not even men have. That is that instinct inside of us. We have to trust that gut inside of us. If you don't feel comfortable, if you don't feel that something is not okay, just walk away and just find another repair shop that is going to give you the necessary tools or the information that you really need.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm really glad that you touched that point, because I think there's a lot of women out there that they feel the same.
Hmm. I talk to lots of girlfriends and stuff, and it's hard. So it's like finding that right mechanic where you feel that they also just, I feel sometimes it's not even that I'm not going to understand, but you walk into them and you can see their eyes going, ugh, a woman, right?
Right.
And you just think that automatically they're going to dismiss anything you're going to say, and that you have to like almost know all the jargon to like put them in their place. And it's just almost exhausting to me sometimes, like that you're like, okay, I have to hype myself up and go in and get them to be like, okay, this person knows what she's talking about, as my kids are screaming in the back of the car that they don't want to be there. And we just,
Yeah.
no, it's this whole big, sometimes it can be a bit of a ordeal.
Yeah, that's why we have to find the right mechanic. And like you said, I mean, it's hard sometimes because there's good mechanics, but there are the bad ones out there.
Mhm.
And our job is to do our homework. And our how we gonna do our homework to find the right mechanic? Well, first of all, look for reviews. A lot of people just, I mean, just because you had a problem in your car, you just go to the first mechanic that you see around the corner. But it's our job to do our homework and just to check their reviews. What other people are saying about them? What,
Mhm.
let's go to their website. What they look like. I mean, you can even read a person just by seeing them. It's like, he looks like I can give it a try and see, and just go to the repair shop. If you don't feel comfortable, just walk away. And like I said, a lot of moms, like you said, they bring their kids. I have a repair shop, and I know what is that. I mean, a lot of moms that I have in the shop is like, oh, I'm sorry, my kids are screaming. I'm like, it's okay. I mean, they're kids. I mean, they don't like to be here, and that's okay. I mean, that's fine. But they have to make you feel comfortable. They have to make you feel comfortable and explain everything to you. And one of the tips that I'm gonna give right here, because I think this is fit really well, is like the 5 questions that you have to ask your mechanic every time that you go to the shop. The first question you have to ask is, okay, can you check the problem on my car? I have in this sound, I have in this problem. Can you check the car? and he have to give you a very detailed answer. If it's possible, he have to take you to see the problem, to see, oh, okay, you don't want this problem is happening because of this, and you have to be very satisfied with that answer. Second question that you have to do is like, oh, you know what, if you're going to inspect my car, is how much is the inspection? Because a lot of times they check their car and then it's like, oh, okay, you know what, it's $90 for inspection. So usually they charge, another ones they just do it for free, but you have to make sure that you are, I mean, you're asking them. Second, when you are going, they're going to do a job in your, I mean, third is the third one. If they're going to do a job in your car, you have to make sure how much will be for labor and how much will be for parts. A lot of times they are like, give you a whole price and you don't even know what is the price for the parts, what is the price for the labor and the warranty that they're going to give you. So let's say if they fix your car, but at couple days after the problem come back, but you don't know what type of guarantee they give you on that specific job. And sometimes the guarantee is just cover the parts, not the labor. So what they're gonna say is, oh, you know what, yeah, it was a problem with the part, I can replace it for the part, I can take the part and they're gonna give you a new one, but I'm gonna charge you for my labor. And you were like, what? Why? Because you didn't ask them first. You have to ask what type of guarantee they're
Mhm.
gonna give you. And then once they already fix the car and they already done their job, ask them for the old parts. This is something that a lot of my customers, they were like, wow, why you're showing me this part? It's like, because you have to see it, you have to make sure that they fix it. A lot of times they don't even change it, they just do a Mickey Mouse right there and they don't even change it and they charge you like if they did. So make sure that they actually change that part and tell them, hey, show me the old part, I want to see the old part that you just changed on my car. And if they're not able to show it, because sometimes they have to send that to the auto parts, well, send me a picture, I want to see a picture of when you're changing the part. I mean, those are little things that sometimes we think, but how I'm going to ask for these things? Well, let me tell you that you have the right to ask them for that.
Mhm.
So, and everything that they tell you, they have to give it to you and read it. I mean, write it in a paper that says everything that they're gonna offer to you, how much they're gonna charge you. You have to have a paper. And if they charge you more, it's like, no, you give me this paper with this amount of money that you're gonna need this. Why you're charging me more? And make
Mhm.
sure that you always have that water cooler before anything else. So I just want to make a pause there just to share that, because I feel that's very important, because a lot of us, we don't even know what to ask when we get into the repair shop.
I know. I get really I also get, sometimes my husband will send me to do it and he goes, well, you can just do it. And then he goes, well, didn't you think to ask this? And I'm like, why didn't you tell me to ask that? So I thought those are really great. And especially the idea of seeing the product. I could see myself being like, oh, I just love to learn. Can you just show me how, like, what was broken, as a more like a softer way of seeing the product? Like if I thought that they were going to push back on showing me the broken piece. I think that's a great one. I never thought to ask that part. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's very good. And knowing these things are gonna give you confidence of showing up in any repair shop. Even though you don't know much, you have to show with confidence. Every
Mhm.
time, I mean, because they can sense your fear. They can sense that you are insecure of asking something. And a lot of times mechanics take advantage of that. Just because they know that she don't know anything, that she's feeling insecure. She's like, oh, she's the perfect target for charging more. So you have to show up with confidence. Even you don't know much, you have to show up with confidence, make the right questions when you're gonna talk to the mechanic, and you're gonna save a lot of headaches. And one of the things that it got my attention when I started doing this is like 65% of the drivers here in the United States, at least in the United States, are women. So that means that women are the ones who are buying more cars. So I mean, come on, we are the majority on this area. So we have to raise up and create this confidence every time we go to the repair shop. So I love that.
You
So
too.
tell me, have you ever feel like confident when you say, oh, empower that because you did something in your car, or maybe your husband teaches something, or you just went on YouTube and learned something and you did it by yourself?
So the thing for me, I was like, that one's a harder one for me to answer, but I being, as I mentioned, from a cold place, the one thing that I am confident about is boosting my vehicle, because you have to be able. So I know where to put the black and where to put the red, and I know how to get my battery to start so that I can leave. Like I know how to lift the hood of my car and get into that part. That's something I know a lot of other, you would think because I live where it's cold that all people would feel comfortable doing that. And I know a lot of my friends get very frazzled when their car won't start because they don't know what to do. And that is something that I am comfortable doing, like that I have my booster cables. I know I can go and help a friend, or I can get somebody to do it without having to wait for somebody to come rescue me. So
Yay, that's
that's
awesome.
mine.
I love that. Yeah, that's a big win, and that you have to feel so proud of that. Because when we do the workshops at the shop, I ask usually my customers is like, okay, what do you know how to do? And a lot of women, they don't even know how to open the car hood. And I mean, it's not to feel ashamed, but I mean, we have to learn these things, and you know how to do that. And I said congratulations, because that's a big win. That's something big. I
It
love
is.
that.
And some of those hoods are difficult. My Dodge one is a little bit trickier than my previous ones and stuff. So, because you got to like poke it in and then pull it up and stuff. And I can change my windshield washer fluids. Like God know how to open the hood.
What advice will you give to the listeners right now? Like already how to know to do those things, but what advice will you give to the women that are listening right now that are identifying with your story, with the things that you're just saying?
Well, listen to you. I think that there's some really great tips just even in this episode. But yeah, I think that like lean into your discomfort. And so like if you don't understand something, don't let that prevent you from being able to go in. Like there's lots of times where I'm uncomfortable, but I have people that I found that I trust, that I can go, and even if they're not the person I'm taking it to, can at least give me some like arm me with like some words to use and questions to ask so that I feel more confident when I'm walking up to go get something done, rather than just letting that discourage me from ever doing it.
That's good. I love that. Yeah, definitely. And well, last question, but not least, is what is your favorite car? I love this question. I love this question because I want to see what is your favorite car?
It's so boring because I'm like, my van. I probably just at the time when I bought it, I was like, I don't need the TVs and I don't need all the flash because my kids were babies. So really, if I could get any vehicle, I would get the Dodge Caravan like I have, but just flashier with the TVs because now they're older. Because I like my sliding doors and I like my headroom and I like being able to put things down and have a full, like that's the stage of life I am. So I like a flashy minivan. I'm that mom.
You know, and it's funny because I've been talking with different moms, and it's funny. What was your dream car when you were single? And now
Yeah.
that you're mom, what is your dream car? And believe me, like a lot of moms are like you. I mean, I love my van too. I do have my van with my kids, and I mean, I love the space. And I mean, the regular cars, the small cars, they don't give you that space basically, and when you're on the car. And I told my husband, I have 4 kids, so right now we're like perfect in a minivan, but I wish I have a Sprinter. He's like, but that's like a minibus. And I'm like, yeah, because I really want more space and all that. And we were moms. I mean, we just want the space.
Yes, you just want the space. And I also loved moving from a car that had the passenger doors that swing out versus slide. So I didn't have to keep apologizing to people in the parking lot that my kids were dinging their
Yeah.
doors.
Oh my goodness. Now that you mentioned that, that's a headache.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know how many times I tell my kids when they open the front door, hey, careful with the car, careful with the other car. Yeah, I get that.
It's all practical reasons. I'll worry about Flash when my children leave the house.
That's so funny. But it was really nice to have you in our show today, Carmen. I really enjoyed our conversation today. I think we learned a lot. I love your story, and I think a lot of women right now are identifying with your story. So I hope everyone is taking notes, because that's the whole purpose of this show, just to bring you information, tools, and remember that you can search for our Facebook community. We have around 2,500 women right now learning about car maintenance in our Facebook group. So if you want to join us, you're more than welcome to come and learn with us. So I hope everyone is having a wonderful rest of your day. And well, something else that you want to say before we say goodbye?
Oh, just thank you so much, Cindy, for having me on. I love what you're doing. I think this is amazing for letting women, and then like I have a mother of 2 girls, so I just love hearing everything you have to say to be able to help me and my kids.
Yay, thank you. Thank you. So hope everyone has a wonderful day, and see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Ladies Car Care Talk Show. For more resources from Cindy, or to join the Ladies Car Care Facebook community, you can follow the links in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening and share with your friends.